Hi guys, we're now at the Crown. So that's the new hotel in Sydney and casino, which is not yet operating, but the restaurants are. Thought we'd just give you a shot of Barangaroo. So I'm going to turn quickly now with Barbara on my side and just show you some of the towers. I'm not sure if you can see that. Probably not a great shot, but anyway, and out to the bay. So Cockle Bay. Anyway, we're about to do our last 2.5 Ks. Hope everyone's feeling great. We'll see you later. Bye. Have a good
And that was our first hour with Australia. I'm going to bring Doug. There you are.
Yeah, there you go.
Hey, Doug,
Hello.
how are you?
I'm all right, Steph. How are you? You doing well?
Oh, can't hear you, Doug.
Oh, shit.
Rachel, can you step in?
Yeah. It's if you see the green thing,
Rachel?
means that it's working.
Can you hear me? No.
Rachel?
I bet you had to come before, Stephanie.
Doug, sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing for some reason. Technology, go figure.
Doug, if you
Go figure.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me
Yep, now I can hear you totally fine. Totally fine. How are you going? Good? Going for number what?
Good, yeah.
11?
I'm about to start 11, yeah.
Doug, sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing for some reason.
I can hear you, Doug.
Okay.
Go figure. But we're at almost 30,000. We're at over 29,000 right now. How are you going?
Wow. Well, we've got to get over 30,000. Come on. I'm about to start 11, yeah.
Let's go. Let's go.
Sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing for some reason.
All right, Doug. I don't know where. Can you hear Stephanie or no?
I can hear her, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Excellent.
Can Stephanie hear me?
Yes, I can.
I'm not sure. So we're just about at 30,000. I know that you are on run number 11, correct?
Correct.
We just had Jo on. She was with some great people in Australia, just talking about the industry overall. So it's all going well there, and we're going to be popping back to them, and they've got a full another hour of talking to a ton of stakeholders over there in Australia. So all going okay. Are you running with Rachel right now?
Yeah, Rachel's here. Come on, Rachel.
Oh, okay. We didn't get to meet her last time. So
Hi.
I'm Rachel. So I wanted to meet you, Rachel. Yeah, everything going well. I know you're in the middle of the night there now.
Yeah, he's doing really well. He's really strong.
Great.
Yeah,
Great.
she's pushing me really hard right now.
Oh, good. All right. Wearing
Struggling
head
to keep up.
torches.
Yeah,
He's driving you
loving the
along.
headlights. We're seeing some pictures with the headlights. They're quite delightful. They're really
You
quite
guys
delightful.
You've seen some pictures?
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
yeah. They're sending across lots of pictures right now.
Cool.
Absolutely.
No, it's going really well. So Rachel's going to take me to halfway. Two to
Okay.
go.
Yep. And Steph, are you there?
I am here. I'm here. I hope
I'm
not.
not sure if she is. Okay. Well, we'll just carry on. Let you guys go on your run.
Okay. We'll see you
Okay.
later.
All right.
Great to see you.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
everyone. Good to
Nice
see
to
you.
meet you,
Thanks,
Rachel.
Thanks, Rachel.
Bye.
Isn't technology lovely?
Hey, we are now speaking to Dominic O'Brien, who runs the Sanctuary Cove Boat Show in far north Queensland. And I tell you, for all of you that don't know, Queensland is an enormous state and is one of our most beautiful states. In fact, I think the byline is beautiful one day, perfect the next. Is that correct, Dominic?
Not a bad place to be, Jo. I think we do pretty well with the weather.
And I was very lucky to come up for the opening of your
It
boat
is
show. It
certainly
was
a tourism mecca.
absolutely beautiful. Tell us a little bit about your show.
Thank you for coming up and visiting us. It was a great pleasure having you up here to experience it. Look, we had a wonderful time this year. We had 300 plus exhibitors, 51,000 people, 4 days of glorious weather, and really fantastic sales and feedback from everybody who came here. It was nice after not being able to stage the show last year, obviously with troubling times, that we managed to put on the big show again. It was really lovely experience.
Last year, did you do anything online or did you just can it?
We postponed the boat show and then we ran a smaller festival, which is much more of a regional kind of festival for about 20,000 people over 3 days. I guess at the time we thought that was a pretty mean effort as well to try and get 20,000 people through and the COVID safe practices. So we ran that smaller one. We didn't go online, and then we took the bull by the horns and decided we'd run boat show this year and really have a good go at it.
I think it would be pretty hard to sell a boat online, wouldn't it?
Look, I think they've been successful at it, and the industry's had a really good time because people have been returning to leisure. But I think in general, everyone wants to touch and feel what they buy. They love the experience of being on it. They want to feel the boat rock. They want to talk to the expert face to face. They want to pour through the boat. And if you're going to buy $1 million boat, I guess you want to know every detail about it, especially the engine room and what the helm looks like in the cockpit, and how you're going to feel when you're sitting on the back having a glass of champagne on Sundays. So there's nothing like being there in person, touching and feeling it.
That's right. And that's what our industry is all about, isn't it? I mean, we do love that whole personal experience. So it could have gone another way, though. So you were able to open, and that was fabulous. But just not a long time after, Melbourne was put into lockdown. What could have happened if that was a week earlier?
Yeah, I guess that was really dependent on where and what lockdown happens. If it was an interstate, then it was obviously going to have an impact on that visitation coming from there. We're fairly lucky. We have a really good, strong contingent in South East Queensland. Then again, if South East Queensland went into lockdown, then that would have been obviously quite a big issue. Where we would have gone from there, well, that's another story. I guess last year we took the view that we looked after all our exhibitors and everybody, and we refunded or held their money or offered to extend it across again. I hope we would have done exactly the same thing and tried to look after everybody who's involved in the show this. But it's challenging for the contractors, for everybody that supplies to the show, all the people that have already invested and sent their stuff here. Obviously, it's a risk for everybody.
It is. And have you been getting support from the government at all? I mean, the economic benefit of your show to the state must be huge.
We have a good relationship with government, and they have been very supportive. I think in general, events need more support, and they need more certainty around if things do go awry, who's going to help them? Where do they turn to? It can't be borne at the organiser's risk, and someone has to put their hand up at some point and say, look, we're going to insulate this industry because it is a very important economic driver. Our last boat show in 2019 had somewhere circa about $335 million of economic impact into our economy, into the national economy.
Yeah.
But a lot of that centred here in the Gold Coast in Queensland. And all the metrics for this one suggest that our show is going to be much more successful this time around. So there's a serious part of this industry where we're driving sales back in. It drives employment in the local industry. The boat manufacturers here have long timelines to build their boats because they can't get the labour to build them.
Yeah.
So there's, the long-term benefits of a boat show, particularly Sanctuary Cove, this will be felt for 3 or 4 years, and hopefully we can do that every year. But there needs certainty around that, and that is about primarily importance for this industry. Gold Coast is a tourism hotspot, as we know. This is a mecca for everybody to come to. And we draw enormous people up here, and we all just need that help from that.
Yeah. I mean, I guess there are some industries, like our industry, the events industry, that was hit hard in COVID. But there are other industries that did really well, such as Uber Eats and anything like that. But I think the boating industry did quite well too, because Australians are all locked here. We can't go anywhere. Suddenly they're sitting at home and they're looking around their home and they're going, oh, I need a new couch, or gee, well, we can't go overseas this year. Let's get a boat. Have you seen an impact like that? Or, I mean, I'm assuming that's what it is.
In general, there's been a bump across all the leisure industries. I think you're talking caravan, camping, any of that outdoor kind of experience. That certainly the marine industry has felt that. Golf, sports, anecdotally, all of those have done really quite well. That might be because there's not as much international travel, so that people are staying at home and spending their money in different ways. Families need something to do. I think that they still like to be outdoors in Australia, so we're very lucky in that regard. So yes, there certainly has been a big impact into the marine industry. But it was surprising, I think, for us to see that the boat show still drew an enormous crowd, had so much attention, still sold that much and did that well in an economic return. It was, the commerciality of it was astounding.
And you have international brands. How are the international brands represented? I mean, I was astounded. There were just, boats from all over the world. There are a few accents there. Are they already here, or did they get special permission to come in?
I think a lot of those are already secure. They have distributors in place or branches where they have display. So there's some stock in the country for them to come. International accents, I think we're just a cultural society here in Australia. We love having international visitors. So for us, that means we don't have as many international visitors actually, which is not ideal. We prefer to have New Zealand, brethren across the ditch, and all the Pacific Islands, and a really good contingent from Asia and Europe usually comes across. So it was sad not to have all of those people. By the same token, we were gratified we could still present all that level of stock.
And so have you heard from the government anything about opening Australia up to the internationals? Is there anything that you've heard that we can tell our audience out there around the world who are waiting desperately to come back down under and experience how fabulous we are down here?
I may not talk to the Australian government, but hopefully, like everyone, we're hoping that there will be some sort of vaccine passport for you to be able to travel internationally. I'm not sure what that looks like at the moment, but we're all hoping that happens.
Yeah, that's right. And so what are the plans for next year?
I think onwards and upwards. So one of our great successes this year was a VIP lounge, which you may have seen, got about 300 people in it. So we're hoping to expand that area to have more boats, more yachts connected through into our area and service just as many, if not more people next year.
And are you looking, I mean, at the moment, we're all talking about hybrid events and keeping an online show going throughout the year. Are you looking towards that, or are you at the moment purely concentrating on the face-to-face experience?
No, look, the face-to-face is obviously our primary, but we've certainly investigated virtual shows as well. I guess the conversation is, how do you provide a meaningful interaction at that point? Is it a showroom? Is it more of an information compiling service, or can you provide an appointment setting kind of deal so that you can actually get the reasonable interaction between a salesperson or an industry person and the consumer? And that's the thing we're grappling with and trying to get right.
Yeah, I think it is difficult. I mean, as organisers of big face-to-face events like yours, that's been your main focus, is getting people together, and now having to have a look at a way to entertain them during the year so that it's meaningful. I like that. A meaningful way to do it, not just doing it because one has to, but doing it meaningfully so that, it's something for all your customers, whether they're the attendees or the exhibitors. How you operate that, I think, will be very interesting. We're looking at quite a few different platforms around the world that have been grappling with the same ideas. Some are good, some are not so good. So there are plenty out there to choose from, and it'll be interesting to see which way you go. You mentioned that you had a lot of exhibitor satisfaction, and can you talk to me a little bit about that feedback?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I think it's always about, in some ways, the exhibitors have that metric of quantity, how many people am I seeing? But the bigger metric for them is quality. Are they having the right sort of conversations with the right sort of people? Many of them at the high end would rather have fewer conversations, but have them with highly qualified customers, so that they can have, perhaps 5 conversations in a day that are right. And all the feedback suggests that we had the right mix of people on site, both in quantity. So there was plenty of people around, and the event had a really great hum to it. So as you're walking through the streets, you hear the entertainers, you could see the people in the street enjoying themselves, people hanging out of cafes and restaurants. But we also had the quality interactions, which is important. Spaces for them to go away.
People buying boats.
Yeah, that's also a pretty good metric when that comes back.
It sure is. And do you measure what's called a net promoter score at all, an NPS? Or do you
Not
have
exactly
your own?
those. We have our own metrics. We ask the same questions each year to see where they are, and we're just going through that process now to find out what that's like.
Yeah, because it was only just finished.
2 weeks ago, I think. So 2.5 weeks ago, we were in the throes of it all. So it felt like a long build-up, obviously, as it always does. And it seems to have, we've packed down completely now. So there's no footprint left in our village. We had, 4,000 square metres of temporary structure put up in the car park. Hundreds of tents ranging from 3x3s, 10x10s, and 15x25 sort of things. And that entire footprint is now left. It's an interesting feeling.
Yes, it sure is. So you're sustainable as well.
That's exactly right. So we build it quickly. We put the show on. All the operational considerations around getting that many people into a site with one road out, and then pack down just as quickly, so that we return back to normal. Have a business that operates as a commercial.
Well, as an attendee, I would like to say it went extraordinarily well. We felt handled very easily, got in, walked around, had a beautiful day. The sun was shining. The boats were just actually gorgeous. The water was glistening. There couldn't have been a better day. And so I loved it. And we did buy a boat. To just say thank you
again. Thank you for visiting. Thank you for
Dominic, you've been so kind to join us today because and give us your viewpoint from down under. It is going global, this televised interview, and we want the whole world to see that Australia has reopened. And hopefully we'll be reopening our international borders soon with, as you said, some kind of vaccine passport. And that Doug Emsley, the CEO of Tarsus, who is running for 24 hours, has really put this together for the well-being of our industry, for all those who have struggled so hard over the past year. And please, thank you very much for supporting that, and go online and donate and tell all your network as well. That's the Backyard Ultra plus Doug, and that will come up with a donate button. So I really appreciate your time, Dom, and I look forward to next year.
Thank you very much. And look, it's a message of hope. Hopefully things will turn back to normal for everybody. And people love being at events. So when we get them back on, they will come in thousands.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Wow. So donations are definitely coming in. Steph, where can we log in? Can you give us those details again, please?
Yes, absolutely. So you want to go to gofund.me/95A45E89. Something really interesting that Tarsus is doing in terms of supporting all of their employees. All the employees from Tarsus who have donated out of their own pockets, Tarsus is matching that
that's
amount.
Great. That's really good.
Or as a fundraiser, which is really, really fantastic.
That's
and in
fabulous.
fact, I just want to go through again and name, we're doing the Meeting Industry Fund in the US, Eventwell in the UK, the US, and Canada, as well as the Red Cross from India. So all of the money is really going to people in need. These are legitimate charities that are just doing a lot of good work for a lot of people that are still in need. We know that we're ramping up, but the need is still there, and it's still great. And it's going to take a while for all of us, I think, to recover not only physically, monetarily, and emotionally. So it's
that's
really
what we need out there. We really do. So our next speaker is somebody that you and I know very well. His name's Matt Pearce, and he's Managing Director of Talk to Media, a great friend of ours.
Very great friend. We've been all over the world together. Aren't we lucky?
Aren't we lucky?
One time, honestly, I did a booba one day though. He and Trevor Foley, who's another bald gentleman who's British. I confused the two of them, even though I know them quite well, and I call them each other's names, and they've never let me live it down. It's still a little bit embarrassing. But Trevor actually ran 2 different legs of the 5K with Doug this morning.
Oh, that's
so
good.
Take it away.
That is really good. I'm so glad he could support them. That is
so
funny.
Anyway, Matt, I'm still quite embarrassed about mixing you and Trevor up for 5 minutes. I can't even blame it on the cocktails. It was like, maybe I can blame it on jet lag. I'm not sure, but it was a pretty embarrassing moment.
I'm less worried. I'm less worried now that Trevor's drinking every now and again. to be mixed up with him when he wasn't drinking was a real offence. He's my brother, right?
Truly.
We call each other brothers.
Yeah.
But we have actually, the three of us have met up all over the world at industry functions. I mean, it's incredible. I can't even imagine how many countries it would be actually, but quite a few. Even in the back roads of China and very strange, odd places.
We still don't know what they
Also
were cooking.
Taking you both to the Hoover Dam. I took you to the Hoover
the
Dam.
Hoover Dam, yeah.
Went on the tour. It was a little nationalistic. But something that people should know: the Hoover Dam is one of the architectural wonders of the world. And when they were building it, they actually built it with in mind with the fact that they wanted to give tours inside of it once it opened, because they knew that it would be that big of a deal. And it was interesting.
I mean, it's one of the things I
never have to go back. So
it's one of the things I love about. Yeah, it's one of the things I love about the industry. Join the events industry, travel the world, meet people. It's great.
Or as I like to call it, around the world.
Until COVID. So how are you, Matt? How's everything going?
Oh, good. Yeah, we'd be better if we were out of lockdown. So, as you well know, Australia is no longer one country; it's a series of states. Except we took what America has with federation and made it even worse. So all the power seems to rest with the states. So Melbourne is currently in lockdown. We're hoping to come out tomorrow, and we've got an event running in 2 weeks' time in Sydney. So we're and sales are great. We just need to get there. We just need to be able to allow it in and build it and so forth. Nothing important.
Nothing important. Be able to travel to Sydney to produce the show. So
yeah, look, we have been traveling until now.
And what's the name of the show, Matt?
Good Food and Wine Show. So it's our big consumer show. We'll expect about 30,000 people there. And the changes, we have to do it in sessions. So before it used to be just fill the halls. We used to have a line, and it was a line of an ex-director, James Lang, who said, if you can see carpet, we can still sell tickets. Now we'd be very pleased to see carpet, and we've got more space to allow for that. But by doing it in sessions, we'll get the 30,000 people through. And as I said, so even during lockdown and through this whole sort of pandemic, food and wine have been going really well. So it's a strong sector. You know, I can't tell you how much wine I've bought over this time, and consumed, I hasten to add, but it's good. You know.
Yeah, you know, I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you, because it seems like, because all the bars were closed, just the amount of I went for spending more on my alcohol. I was definitely buying higher end alcohol, because I wasn't, you know, going down to the pub or going down to my lobby bar or wherever else. It was like, oh, I'll just get the good stuff because it's just me, and I'll just
it's just me.
Yeah, I think that's right. And certainly the industry, I mean, Australia is obviously having a bit of a blue with China at the moment in variety of trades, wine being one of them. And so we're getting good activity, because they are finding that they're replacing some of that wine that was going to the US, going to China, back into Australia. So it's good. So that's that show. And then, but unfortunately, we've got other shows that we're likely to have to postpone as a result of lockdown here. So, you know, there's always a cause and effect. But well, there more news on that when the final decisions are made, but it's probable.
Have you tried to dabble with the online side, like a hybrid event or a virtual event?
Like many, I don't really like the word hybrid, because I'm not quite sure what it means. I understand a hybrid car, but I'm not sure I understand a hybrid event. Look, I think one of the best things that the pandemic's done is shown what hybrid or virtual can't do. And so as we come through, hopefully toward the end of this, I mean, the discussion about Vegas opening and World of Concrete on right at this minute, for example, is not because it was virtual.
Yeah.
And it's all because it's back, because we know that that's how trade gets done. I mean, and so much trade is done. We talk about serendipity of events. You know, the networking component of, and I know we're using Swapcard as a platform here, and I know Swapcard are doing a good job, but it's still tech, and we're still on a screen. And all of the stuff we started in this conversation quickly about having a drink. Well, I know it's not about drink, but actually it is often about networking. Now, frequently that happens around bars and stuff, but you just talk to people. And I mean, a quick story with Doug. He and I were in China, Joe, with you. We were in China, and I bought a show from him from India. Now, I didn't go to buy a show in India from Doug, but that was the outcome. And that was the serendipitous nature of a discussion. And the discussion was really just around what business we're doing, where is it, how's it matching, and so forth. And that came out of it. Unlikely, I'm not saying it never would, but it's unlikely to come out on screen. And so, you know, I think that there will be an ongoing lag, a bit like people not going back to the office quickly. I think there will be a virtual lag, and that will be beneficial. That will extend the range, but it isn't the fix. And the fix is going back to and knowing and understanding the value of what we do, and that's face to face. So I think that's, in a perverse way, that's what will happen, the value of face to face. And I think what we're going to have to do, and some of the research I've seen, is that, you know, the visitor is going to get pickier. So the visitor is going to want to know which exhibitors are there, and if you haven't got the bellwethers, why not? And so there will be a sort of change for all of us on what we do. It's, you know, we've increasingly started curating the content, and the content around conference and so forth is obvious, but actually increasingly it's the content of the types of exhibitors, so who they are and what them and the products that they're selling. We don't want, in our show, well, maybe we do want lots of wine, but you don't necessarily want lots and lots and lots of coffee, because they're not going to get an outcome from it. So you manage that. You say, okay, we only want 3, 4, 5, whatever the number is, coffee stalls, and then we want other things. So I think the shift will become, we'll be much more conscious about the content that we've got on the show floor.
And how are you going with maintaining and sustaining your team? Especially, I mean, you're all in lockdown in Melbourne as we talk. How difficult has that been?
Lockdown's tough mentally, I mean, for everybody, and so we all try and work through, and there's lots of shout outs to people within the office to make sure everybody's okay. This one, as I said, should finish today. How are we handling it? Well, the scheme, the JobKeeper scheme that the Australian government put in, which paid a bit of people's salaries, we reduced everybody to 50% of their time during the main lockdown last year. And now we've got pretty much everybody back at full time. And we did lose a few. We lost, disappointingly, we lost them from the industry.
Yeah.
And I think that's fairly common, that people are looking at our industry and saying, hey, it's risky, isn't it? I didn't realize that. Maybe I'll go for something more stable. The interesting thing is quite a few people come out of hospitality and hotels come into our industry, and they're as bad as we are. So they're really having to think about what they do. But yeah, so we lost a few people. Most of them have stuck with us, and you know, one of the main things we want to do is get on site. So that's you know, just to start that build process and just to get going, because that's a kind of reality that we haven't had. So the last show we ran was AIM, so the Asia Pacific Incentives and Meetings event, which is sort of Australian version or Asia Pacific version of IMEX.
And when was that?
February 20. And it was just as it was all blowing up in China and so forth, and when we all realized that there was a real issue. So yeah, it was pretty tough.
But you got through it, right? And you had to put AIM off this year.
Yeah, we put AIM off this year. And look, what's remarkable is that there was a lot of discussion, certainly in Australia, and I was reading around the world, we're all going to go broke. And you know, actually the resilience of the industry has been quite remarkable, because I'm not really aware of loads and loads and loads of companies, given that none of us have really run events for the best part of 15 months, that I'm really surprised that there haven't been some major casualties. And there may well still be casualties. And of course, you know, Doug is a big buyer of events, and I know he'd like to be out there buying, but nobody's agreeing multiples at the moment. They'll come down, but you know, everybody would like their pre-19 multiples, right?
You know, they're trying to base them off of 2019, and really nobody knows what's going to happen going forward. We know that there's a pent-up demand initially, but then what's going to happen? So yeah, a lot of people here in Vegas are looking at World of Concrete to see how many people are coming. The other thing that we're finding here in the US is that a lot of shows that happen the first quarter of the year are now happening in the fourth quarter, and then they're going to happen again a few months later. So what's that going to do to both shows? Is the first one going to be smaller, the second one larger? What's going to happen? We don't know. But it's kind of interesting to see where's the buying pattern going to be and what's going to happen with that. So it's something that nobody knows, and I guess we'll all muddle through it together.
Yeah, and we're all trying to run shows. We've got a show in the next few weeks, and then again same show in March. Whether we run both of them, we're still working out, because they both happen to be in the same Australian financial year, which kind of makes it tough for the exhibitor as well, and we're conscious of that. But March was its set date, and we prefer to go back to that. As you say, Steph, the buying cycle is really important. So we've got to reflect the industries we support and work with, rather than just saying, oh well, it suits us or it suits the tenancy we can get in the venue. So you know, we'll see where it goes.
Matt, there's a lot of people dialing in from all around the world to support Doug on his run and listen to all of us chatting. Is there anything you would like to say on behalf of your views for Australia to a lot of those people? I mean, you are on the UFI circuit as well. Is there anything you'd like to mention?
Oh, well, there was an UFI board meeting yesterday, and I have the honour of being on the UFI board. And so the thing I'd congratulate Michael Duck for being to becoming president in 2023. That's
one of our absolute favorite people in the world. I think that the leadership at UFI is well in hand, definitely.
Yeah, and it was good. So you got Monica going straight into Michael, so that's an easy handover. They can just sort of pass the baton on in one chai. That wouldn't be a problem. But really, I think for all of us, it's kind of, we all sense that we're coming back now. We're talking about vaccination passports. I heard who was it before? Dominic saying that the vaccination passport. There's going to be. I know that's happening sort of to a point in the US, and Europe are talking about it as well. So I think we will get back to it. There's the advantage for Australia right at this moment is we're more country and less regional, and it will go country or domestic, regional, and the big international shows will be the slowest ones back. And I think that will be tough for some. And really interesting to see how that plays out. When all this happened, I've got to say I did think of Eric Everard and his model of small and many, not one and big. And I know that he's been smiling for some time, but just hang in there. I mean, for all of us, I mean, we've taken the pain along the journey. Doug is taking the pain along the journey, and I suspect is now feeling the pain.
Yeah, I suspect he is.
Whichever kilometre he's in at the moment.
Yeah, he's not even halfway. He's not even halfway there yet.
Wow.
No,
Yeah.
I ran with Doug, and my brother Trevor, and Simon Foster and Kai Hattendorf. We all ran in Vegas a couple of years ago, and I've still got the picture of us with the leaving Vegas sign, and I got to say, Doug left us behind. He's a whippet.
Yeah.
He just goes.
He's fantastic. So hopefully he's running faster than his 5 kilometres so that he can get, a 10-minute break at the end of every hour before he's got to start again.
I was trying to work out the theory of what would be best, and none of it was good.
None of it was good. So hopefully,
we admire him a great deal. It's a big deal, and I can't imagine, but he's had a lot of runners in support with him, and then runners all over the world as well. So,
and Helen Mantellato has been running and supporting him here this year.
Well,
maybe next year you could do it.
She said she was going to run. Then she said, "Hold on, it's going to be raining. I'm not doing that for my hair." So
I know, but she definitely did. She definitely did leave this morning.
and everybody should donate. That's the other message. Everybody else should. It's a good cause.
Absolutely. Thank you, Matt. Thank you from behalf of all of the industry. So great to see you, and see you up in Sydney when you're here in a couple of weeks.
2 weeks time. Okay. Take care. Cheers,
bye.
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 Welcome, Helen, and thank you so much for all the support that you've given, and getting up early to run with Doug and then making it in here. I mean, it's amazing. How did that run go?
Oh, look, it was gorgeous. Beautiful morning. Didn't rain, so I was able to do it. Hair intact, lipstick on. Yes, so I held it all together, and my niece didn't fail me. So here I am. Had time to get changed and come into the studio.
And after you've done one, and knowing Doug's got to do 24 of them, any message you'd like to say to Doug?
Good on you, Doug. I mean, the endurance and your resilience is unbelievable. I think those are the 2 words for the year, really, that we've had. But fantastic work. I don't know how you're doing it.
Endurance and resilience. Absolutely. Doug really does embody all of that.
Yeah.
And I mean, part of the reason he's doing it is because our industry was really hit hard over the past year. So can you tell me a little bit about how the International Convention Centre was able to pivot, I hate that word, but pivot to continue to operate?
Yeah, look, it came as the mass gatherings announcement was a bit of a shock. So, we were actually sitting in a St. Paddy's Day lunch with about 1,200 people when the announcement came through from the Prime Minister. So we all just went into, speedy kind of discussions about what we were going to do, how we were going to get message out to our clients, and we had actually 3 shows running on that weekend. So we had a home show, a mind, body, spirit show. We had a dental trade show on. So the dental one finished early. and the others rolled out till that Sunday, till the embargo came in. But anyway, we got together pretty quickly and decided that, we had clients on our books that still wanted to run events and do things, even though we couldn't in a mass gathering situation. So we had the resources, we've got the people there, we've got the expertise. So we quickly turned around and said, well, we can actually run virtual events, so we can provide a solution to our clients. So that's what we did. We've got massive rooms. Two of our ballrooms were turned into studios. All our staff just, mobilised, and and that's what we did. So we pretty much started running virtual events till probably a month after the embargo came in.
Wow.
We had our Global Exhibitions Day event in one of our studios in June last year. So that's how we went. We rolled with the punches, and it all morphed from there. And, towards the end of last year, when restrictions were starting to be lifted, we started to do more hybrid type events, so in person, but not huge. It's really only like this year, at the beginning of this year, that we've started to get bigger groups in. So that's been fantastic.
So we did Global Exhibitions Day this year again at your place.
And we did.
And that was a real blended event there.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Because we had a large audience in
Yeah.
Sydney, but we also had people dialing in from all over Australia.
Yeah, so we had about, I think, 60 people in-house, and we had quite a few, including international speakers online. So, we were able to get a bigger reach, which is great. So, and also, the people everyone just loves coming back together again. It's just a wonderful experience to, we're a big building. We're made to have people there. We're not made to, have an empty carcass. It's all about connecting with people. And so far this year we've had 15 exhibitions. We've had about 70,000 people through the halls. I think in terms of events, since we've been running hybrid, we've had about 170,000 people through the building.
Wow.
And for example, today we've got our big theatre operating with 5,000 school kids. We've got a medical conference running. We've got one of our big tourism events on ATE with 2,000 buyers and sellers. So, the place is rocking. It's not at the extent we were pre-COVID because we're operating on 1 to 2 square metres, but there's no shortage of business coming through. It feels really good. It feels fantastic.
It is great, that feeling of reopening.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, you were doing other things with your halls, right?
Yeah, we did actually look at other opportunities that we had, and the government had put out an incentive to production companies to do some filming. So we got quite a bit of that.
Movie filming.
Yeah, movie filming, television ads, a whole range of things. We did Dancing with the Stars, which you probably wouldn't guess it was in the exhibition hall. So that provided a rent roll for us and kept people employed, and kept them, working. We also did some other stuff with with exams that we could get some people in. That's so in quiet spaces. We probably wouldn't normally do that when we're really busy because they need a good length of time and quite a bit of space. We're also looking at other markets and other revenue streams too. We haven't done a lot of weddings in the past, but we'll do that too. So you've got to just bend and shape with what's available to you and where the need is. Yeah.
I think that's one great thing about our industry. We are so used to working to deadlines.
Yeah.
And events, just the nature of events, things go wrong.
Yeah.
And so being able to cope with that and change and flex and still pull off a successful event or a successful happening of any sort, we're the kind of teams that are used to that. And so coming up with great ideas to fill a hall, it may not be an event, but Dancing with the Stars, whatever it happens to be, it's a great opportunity.
Yeah, obviously we also had to create a safe environment too.
That's
so that was
right.
one of the things that we did first up. I think we're part of a big chain, the ASM Global chain. So across the world we had our experts from each of the venues look at a COVID safe plan. So we built a program called Venue Shield, and then we built on that to create something that was specific for ICC Sydney.
And what was that?
So it was basically a COVID safe plan that we would use internally as to how we would manage safety, all with, guided by the health regulations and legislation that was out at the time, and the health orders, because they kept changing, and also something that we could then provide to clients, that they would be guided on how to, I guess, run an event in a COVID safe way. So we were one of the first, I think, to put that to market. We trained all our staff, and so that's ongoing. We put together a COVID safe task force, because with the health orders changing so regularly, I think in 1 week sometimes it changed like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
So the government speak was quite different, so we had to interpret those changes and make them, turn them into practical solutions for how we could switch whatever it was that we needed to do, whether we went from 1 to 4 square metres to 1 to 2 square metres, whether it's QR coding, all those things, the sanitation, the cleaning, how we were going to handle food and beverage, all those sorts of things, and making sure that our staff were totally aware of what our responsibilities were, and also then pass it on to our clients too. So yeah, it's been a big educational roller coaster, I can tell you that. But, so far, we've been able to operate and not have any cases, and, we don't have any community transmission at the moment in New South Wales, which is fantastic. We've got a great premier. You've probably spoken about that before. That is really running the state in a very pragmatic way and allowing us to keep running events.
Yeah, and I think it's so frustrating when we're seeing that you're allowed to go to a supermarket, but you're not allowed to go to an event, a trade
or a football
show.
match. You can go to an open air football match.
You can go to an open air football match with 100 or 10,000 people.
Yeah.
You can't walk into a trade show with 5,000 people over 3 days, and you know exactly who was there and when they were there and when they departed. So it has been a very frustrating educational discussion with the powers that be, the political powers that be, and I know that Claudia and the EAA have been trying to lobby and change that, and New South Wales have come out strongly. Melbourne is still the centre down there is open as a COVID vaccination hub.
Yeah, well, I can imagine that they'll be opening up pretty soon again to be able to run events. But we've been, as I said, running events for some time now, and with no problem. So, we've got a mixed bag of business too. We do live events too. So live entertainment in our big theatres, we've got the convention business, we've got the exhibition business. So corporate is coming back online again now, where we're seeing still probably not the big tech companies just yet because of embargoes from their headquarters overseas to not have face-to-face events. But I think we'll see that lifting pretty soon. And I think once one will come in, the others will follow. And, more and more people are coming into offices now. So we'll see that change. The corporate market, the demand is there. We're getting inquiries at the same level as we did pre-COVID. So that's a good sign of recovery and the need and the want for people to come together.
Yeah,
so,
I think the want is huge. Yeah. We notice wherever we do actually open up shows, even in our international offices, the audience just rock up, they turn up. So that need to want to have that personal one-on-one that contact is really built into all of us, you know.
And, it's right across all different age groups too, because we thought, we had a seniors week, which government puts on a concert for, people who are retired over 50, 60, whatever it is. And we thought, well, that's quite a delicate kind of age group.
Yeah.
But they came out in force, and the power of connection is so strong, and people wanting to be entertained and see their friends or do things that are outside of just being isolated in your home. So, we've been very fortunate. And
that's
long may it
great.
last,
And I have to say, the ICC, it's certainly the jewel in the crown, sitting there in Darling Harbour, sparkling away. I mean, it was early, this morning when you went off for your run and winter, but certainly is a beautiful setting looking out over Darling Harbour with the water and everything. It must be great to see shows opening up there again.
Yeah, it's very satisfying, and also to see more people around Darling Harbour. You know, I remember the days when, you know, it was a total shutdown. I've been in the office for a long time now, but, you know, it was like a ghost town. It was really sad. I mean, we saw all that footage from places all over the world, whether it was Rome, New York, whatever, and Sydney was not any different.
Steph was saying that that people were bicycling down the strip because there wasn't a car inside and stuff
you
like
could do that in Sydney too. So it was kind of soul destroying to see that. It was a really eerie feeling, but you know, we're noticing that there's more and more people coming into around Darling Harbour, families coming in, so weekends are busy. They've set up some holiday stuff for the kids, and you know, ice rink at the front of the ICC centre now. So you know, hotels I think are still doing it tough, you know, in terms of midweek accommodation. I think leisure is really strong the weekends, you know, and some of the hotels are still quarantine hotels, but I think there's still a way to go, but you know, with more and more coming in, you know, obviously we don't have the international travellers coming in. I also look after the international market, so you know, with borders.
How is that going? Have you heard anything about international borders opening? I've been asking everyone because, you know, I'm desperate to be able to travel again.
Yeah, I'd be one of the more desperate people to hear what's going on. Look, no, other than what we hear in the media, and you know, I guess there's a lot of lobbying going on by Qantas and other people. You know, vaccinations are going to be a game changer for us, and also looking at the quarantine system. And you know, with the announcement that borders in Australia won't open till middle of next year, and we don't know, you know, who they're going to be opened up to. More bubbles might open up, that kind of thing. For us to be able to operate international events, it's kind of like we're still shifting quite a lot of business. Luckily, we've been able to retain the majority of it, but it's kicking the can up the road out to even up to 2028. So it's a shifting thing, and some of our events have moved sometimes 2-3 times. So it's been amazing that there's been that trust and faith in the product that we're still being able to maintain it and keep that event, because the cost of, you know, rebidding for an event is quite high, and you know, you don't want to have those gaps, and you've built those relationships. So I think next year will still be a bit volatile for the international market, but what we're seeing is a shift in the attitude of some of the associations and corporates and organisers that we're working with, that previously they would have just not run the event, or they'd go totally virtual, which makes it difficult because if their headquarters are in the UK, that's where they'd run the virtual events. There's nothing in it for ICC Sydney or for our stakeholders, really. But they're now saying they will look at hybrid. So, you know, if they've got a mass membership in Australia, they'll have a local audience. We may have a bubble with we do have a bubble with New Zealand. We may have one with Singapore or Korea or somewhere else in the Asia Pac area. So we may get some internationals in next year sometime, depending on how that flows. But, you know, switching to hybrid's a good solution too, so that we can then slowly transition into that, you know, when borders start opening up, you know, on a greater scale.
Exactly. And so like this particular event is blended. We've got people dialing in from all over the world to try and support Doug and support the industries around the world, our event industry around the world, where people have been doing it really tough, especially in India as well. Our fabulous friend Bilal, who lost his fight.
So sad.
And to all of those people who are out there, please switch on and donate again. And thank you very much, Helen, for all your support.
Pleasure.
And for your run.
It was fun.
Thank you.
And a challenge.
A challenge.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Joining me now is a very special guest, and she is a co-owner of Connect Event Group, Libbie Ray. Libbie has actually been the one who has allowed us to stream live, talk to you all around the world, have people dial in from all over Australia, even our runners, to make sure that we're supporting Doug and the event industry worldwide. Libbie, thank you so much for everything you've done this morning.
No worries. It's such a great opportunity to be part of a global industry event and sort of connect people together. And I guess that's sort of why we do what we do, is being able to bring people together no matter what's going on in the world, what restrictions are in place, and so great to be part of it. So thanks for that.
You recently won an award as well for the EEAA, and you've been very instrumental in not only keeping our industry alive in a virtual sense during the lockdown, but in a blended sense as we're opening. How can you talk through how your business changed and what you've got to do?
Yeah, absolutely. So previous to that wonderful thing called COVID, we were purely a live event production company. COVID hit, and as like many people in our industry, we switched to virtual. I think one of the big things that we really started to think is that what was going on in the virtual world before really wasn't translating well to what people needed on an ongoing basis. And so we really started to challenge what that might look like. And I guess we're really committed to the virtual and hybrid space, and not just until what everyone says, the world goes back to normal, because personally, normal doesn't exist and it's not coming back anymore. Our industry is evolving. It's been disrupted, and we now have an opportunity to change it and listen to our customers about what they need. I think one of the things from our side, from our company side, is really thinking about whatever challenges we have in a really positive light, and being able to continue to stay motivated, positive, and think about new ways to connect with each other. I think that's why what gets me up in the morning every single day and makes me so excited to be part of events like this one.
I think one of the reasons that Connect Event Group did so well is because you're used to TV. You're used to live TV, you're used to performance, and so you know how to curate content. And let's face it, for our industry, as we move forward, we can't just go back to the old days where there would be a big sign out as you leave the show saying, see you next year. We don't want to do that. We want to be able to stay connected to our audience and stay involved with them. So it's not just about putting an online manual together it's more than that, isn't it? Can you talk about the content and your experience in that TV world and how that's reacted for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So maybe I have a bit of a television background. So I used to work in live television, and a lot of our team members actually come from a television background, mixed with a huge interest and experience level in the event space. But bringing it all together is the most important thing. Pointing a camera at the end of a room at a stage and showing people on the other line what they're missing out of in the hopes that they're going to return next year is no longer possible. So really it's about how do you create an engaging experience for the people both in the room and online, or just simply online, is really the most important thing. And it's about having a good camera crew and a great set and engaging, short, snappy content that's going to keep people watching and part of the experience. I think one thing that people really struggle with is thinking that virtual doesn't do everything, and no, it doesn't, but also live doesn't do everything. And we need to be really mindful that the industry, virtual as an industry or hybrid as an industry, isn't stealing from the live event world. Live is always going to be there, and it's going to be the first point of call. But what we can do is all work together to make sure that we're having incredible experiences for all of our customers. When you're adding in hybrid or virtual as a component, you're saying to your customers, even if you can't attend, we care about you, and we're going to give you an option. no, maybe networking isn't going to be that easy on there, but we can give you access to our brand, our content, and we can, you know, tell you a little bit about our brand and what's going on. And then the other thing that it really does well is keeps our industry moving. So we have the, you know, we're planning for live and something happens.
Yeah.
So we've got our hybrid model. But if something then happens again, we've got our fully virtual model. And we're not constantly pushing things back. And then all of a sudden you haven't spoken to your customers for 2 years. You can continue to have those conversations and connect them to great speakers and people around the world.
That's right. So it's enhancing the live event. It's not a threat. You know, my kids are young. They download and live stream concerts and their, you know, most favorite pop singers. But the minute one of them comes in concert, they can't wait to get there. So it doesn't detract from the live event. It enhances it, right?
Yeah, it certainly does. And it also elongates the experience for people. So even if you have a live event for 1 day or a week, before it was more around, okay, that event's finished and then we'll see you again next year, a little bit like what you were saying. But now you have the opportunity, if you create engaging content, really invest in your customers, you're actually able to use that content as part of your 12-month digital strategy, staying connected, using the content, cutting it down for social media posts, doing engaging snippets, turning it into a LMS, and being able to continually monetize it as well.
And I guess you can consult to the clients that call you and help them along that journey when they need to.
Yeah, I think that's really what we try to differentiate ourselves in, is really that strategic direction for customers, throwing out the old event plans and then helping them rewrite it, keeping their customers in mind, keeping their sponsors in mind. There's actually some incredible opportunities from sponsorship perspective. A lot of people are talking about sponsors not getting as much value. I actually think they get more when you're running across the two
and that's
mediums.
a big question right now. How do we monetize it? So, you know, get onto Libbie. She is a wealth of information and can talk to you potentially about how you monetize this more blended model going forward. Libbie, thank you to you and your whole team for being here all morning and really standing by the entire industry. Much appreciated from all of us.
Great. Thanks so much. And I'm excited for us all to work together and support each other. And Doug, keep on running.
Keep running, Doug.